Blade and Kafka. I played Honkai Star Rail's entire story up until the point at least right now, and these are not only the next banners or current banners depending on when you're watching this, but also very heavily included in the current story of the game, with Kafka being one of the first characters or the first character we see when the game launches. And I'm gonna be completely honest, they're both just mid. Before a character's launch and official release, I think they should be built up in the story and at least featured somewhat. Now obviously this can be, to a degree at least, eased up if they're in the first major chapter of the game. Like Sela's banner was the first big banner, and then she was also subsequently one of the big players in the first major world or area. In Genshin Impact, this was Venti being the first banner and him playing a major role in Mondstadt. But in the case of Blade and Kafka, with specifically speaking Blade, there is no degree of actual building up of this character prior to his launch. You're only pulling, at least as of right now, on his design and on the basic bits of information we have on him, not necessarily his characterization in the story, because he hasn't had that major of a role to play. And I'm not talking necessarily he needs to have this long-winded storyline, but I am saying that as a 5-star unit you have to pull and spend a bunch of gems on, he subsequently should at least have 10, 15, 20 minutes on screen. But this is even worsened by the entire storyline, at least from what it looks like, being centered around Dan Heng. Because you're throwing in one character and you're saying pull for them. Then you're saying Kafka's next after that, so pull for her. Then you also have the introduction of Fu Xuan, a character people have been excited for a very long time, or at least since we first saw her, which is not necessarily that long ago, but still. And then you have Dan Heng, a free character who we all have as of right now. Maybe you built him up, maybe you didn't, but who also has a major plot point in the rest of this story. And with the announcement of his ult, you don't necessarily have any point in time where the game has really let you build up and let you settle with Kafka and Blade before being introduced to the next big thing. And I know it's a new release, but let's be honest, guys. What is the time frame we're leaving out before ults are released? Dan Heng already has an ult teased on the way, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not excited for a Dan Heng ult when I barely gave a damn about Dan Heng himself. Maybe I'm just weird. But this Xiao lookalike discount Aladdis really isn't appealing to me. Not necessarily from a design perspective, but from a character perspective, because we haven't necessarily seen much of him. And if he was featured heavily in the story, and maybe hinted at heavily in the story first when we got this big update, and then maybe a month or two down the line they tease his ult, that could be nice. But as of right now, they teased his ult before actually finishing out his story, and it's kind of like, well, why would I build Dan Heng now when I know he's going to be played up later on to a much bigger degree? Why would I care about the other two characters featured right now when I know Dan Heng is later on? And because the story has really had no time to breathe and allow these characters who we have on the Astral Express to really build up into legitimate personalities, you run into the issue where the ults are coming at you so fast and so frequent, or at least they feel like they are, to where you don't really have a reason to care about the current characters you have when their ults may be released later on. Why would you care about Dan Heng now when Dan Heng alternate self is going to be introduced later on? And it's not even like he's had enough time to be put in as a major character that has allowed the game to breathe maybe 6 months before he's being released again. No, we've had Zelia, Silverwolf, Jing Yuan, Blade, and Kafka, and then Locha. That is 6 banners before his alternate was announced. Realistically, we can't even include Blade and Kafka because they aren't out before his banner was announced or before his alternate was announced. So you're cutting it down to 4, and that is not enough time for a character to breathe, or for the player base to really give a damn. And I understand this could be me, and I understand a lot of you could just simp for him, and if you do, go ahead, sure, whatever. Your taste in characters is bad, and I understand, hey look, we all have our own personal issues and struggles, and you struggle with good choices. But even still, the question is this deserved? Why does he get an alternate when we haven't really had much development on the standard 5 stars, on Welt, on Himiko, or the 4 stars, QQ, Herta? Featured in events doesn't necessarily mean the same as legitimate characterization and story place development. Yanqing is barely featured at all, and he's a major player in this world. Bailu, how many of you have legitimately known anything about her? And I'm not talking about her main story quest, you can even talk about her companion quest. That thing is not good. So when you have Bailu, Tingyun, Yukong, Jingyuan, Yanqing as some of the major players as of right now, and you decide to drag in Dan Heng from outside of this world, who even though he technically is from this area, shouldn't necessarily be the main plot point of it, it really feels kind of bad. Because we haven't let all these other roster of 4 and 5 star characters build up into legitimate personalities you can at least name a trait or two about. If it was like, okay, we visit this world, we solve its problem, the characters built up, and then maybe a month or two later we would turn back in for an event and it's actually a Dan Heng event, that's fine. But teasing the ult right now, with him having a major role, at least based on the trailer, in the plot of the world itself, of the second half that we've been waiting on, feels kind of bad, not gonna lie. If you built up and invested into your Dan Heng, good luck, you can do it again, you can have 2 Dan Hengs. But ultimately, I'm just gonna be honest here, you guys, as of right now, the story of Honkai Star Rail and how they've been trying to build build up each of these characters in each of these regions or areas really isn't hidden. Like, I understand this is an entirely separate team from Genshin Impact, but let's be blunt here, Genshin has a better story in place. I feel like the issue is Honkai Star Rail is trying to build off a lot of the foundations in Honkai Impact 3rd, and as of right now, a lot of individuals who play Star Rail haven't played Honkai Impact. And so any of the references really don't make sense. And even if they're only slight references, the characters that have tiebacks to Honkai Impact really don't hit for a lot of us. Outside of that, the story quests, the companion quests at least, are usually just teasing other characters that are going to be released in the future, which is nice, true, but it has to be about the legitimate character that it's for. Bailu's quest should only be about Bailu with a minor, chime in from somebody else. Same with Yanqing. Same with Locha. There shouldn't necessarily be these intermingling of characters that really have nothing to do with this story as of right now. It's fine if it's characters that are already existing. It's fine if it's characters that have a minor impact, but you can legitimately and should legitimately learn more about the main character you're with. Not have this weird tease for a future character that you have no clue that really serves no purpose in the story as of right now. I don't know. And I like Yanqing. He's cute. I like Clara. She's cute. I have a bunch of characters I do like. Bailu is adorable. But as of right now, Star Rail has failed to even draw me into any of the main characters. We finished an entire world or region about Zile and Branya and all these other characters, and I can barely tell you anything about them that's actually important. I feel like I would get more depth and characterization from a fan fiction, and I'm actually pretty sure I have from fan fiction than I have on any of these actual characters that the game is trying to sell me on. Like, I understand the running joke and running theme is haha, it's a gacha game, what can you expect? Realistically, I can expect a lot more. Nikkei, Blue Archive, Arknights, Genshin Impact. All of these games do such a better job of giving me a reason to care about the character alongside a reason to summon for them than, as of right now, Honkai Star Rail is doing. And I could excuse the first area because, hey, that's the first area, maybe you don't care about the game yet. But when you're trying to sell me alts for already existing characters, when you're trying to sell me these other characters that are released, Fushuan being teased, that's nice. Guess what? Fushuan has had no character development since that teasing, which is neat and fine, but you could have had a role to play in Yanqing's. Why was Jing Yuan's banner? Why did it come and go and he was barely in the game at all? What about Locha? He's there. He's in Dan Heng's story quest. Sure, but I mean, really? I want a character. I don't want... The only reason anyone's pulling Kafka is because they think she looks hot. Which is a legitimate reason, sure, but she's not a character. She's just a stand-in for everybody's parental issues. The only people who are pulling Blade are individuals who are still in their I'm 13 and this is deep stage. That's it. And that's honestly the only reason to pull half these characters in the game right now, because they have no personality. They are not characters. They are caricatures. They are just there to either look pretty or be cool. And guess what? That's it. Don't expect a personality. Don't expect a backstory. Don't expect a reason. Why is Silverwolf's name Silverwolf? What's the username? Don't you have a backstory for that? No, you don't. Is there anything about her as a person? No. Any stakes in the game? No, because Silverwolf lost all her accounts. But realistically, she can just hack them back, so there was no stakes in that event whatsoever. Oh, hey, there's Elio. Learn about that. The story is... Look, the story is dog shit as of right now. Oh my fucking god. The characters are so basic, bottom of the barrel surface tier that I honestly don't care. I could have thrown money into Blue Archive and Arknights and would have gotten a better value. And no, I'm not saying the gacha is better in either one of those games. I'm just saying they give better characterization to the characters because you're trying to sell you a person, a story, a character, not just a picture or a 3D model on the screen. But hey, this is the Honkai Impact team, so realistically, I don't know if I should expect this or not, but I don't like the alts. I'm not gonna lie, alts are fine, but this is not enough time for them to breathe as legitimate 4-star units or as previous units. But hey, y'all like it, whatever. Cool beans. Who even knows if you watched this point? If you did, what's up? Either way, sub if you enjoyed. Maybe you unsubbed if you didn't. I don't really give a fuck right now. It's 4 a.m. my guy. I am out. If you watch this part of the video, you're either bored looking for background video topics or just kind of here for the ride, I guess. Join the server, my dude. I'm out. See ya. Bye.